Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and this is the State of the Saints podcast post-game show. The New Orleans Saints get it done. They knock off the Los Angeles Rams by a score of 27 to 20. This game was it was a little bit of a difference between last week as well as this week. You know, the New Orleans Saints definitely came into this game with a game plan, and it worked out for them. You know, the New Orleans Saints they played inspired today. They played much better, and you have to be impressed at some of the things that you actually seen. You know, there are a few things. There are a few things that we seen from the New Orleans Saints. You know, this game that we haven't seen in games past. They utilized Alvin Kamara. They utilized Taysom Hill. They utilized Chris Olave. They got the ball into the hands of their playmakers. And if the New Orleans Saints want to make things interesting towards the end of the season, they're going to have to continue down this path. You know, the New Orleans Saints today, you know, once again, they played inspired, but this does not absolve them of some of the things that we've seen throughout the year. You have to, but one thing I will say, and you know, it's good to see that you know these guys aren't phoning it in. You know, they're not giving up. You know, I was I said on the prediction show that if the New Orleans Saints go into this game and they're basically quitting out there on the field, there would be an indictment on Dennis Allen. But to have these guys out here playing and flying around the field and and doing some things that are positive, you have to be pretty impressed. One person I'm impressed with rather is Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis for the second straight week has done some really amazing things. In the Saints defense, he's definitely picking up the slack from the absence of Pete Warner. He's getting to the quarterback. He's getting sacks. He's getting pass deflections. He's all around the ball, and he's playing with a lot of energy. And defensively, that's what you need. The New Orleans Saints, they were without Marcus Davenport, they were without Cam Jordan, and later on in this game, Payton Turner, who had a really good stop on fourth and a few yards, fourth and a yard. He got the stop, and unfortunately, somebody rolled over his ankle, and I think even the left tackle of the Rams end up going out in this game. He ended up leaving on the cart. So just unfortunate circumstance. Definitely some bad luck when it comes to the injuries with the New Orleans Saints, but it's good to see that these guys were, playing inspired football. Just take it week by week, one game at a time. We'll see where we're at, and yeah, I'm just happy to see that they actually utilize some of their playmakers and got the ball into the hands of Alvin Kamara and found ways to do it that didn't involve them just running up the middle with him or just throwing some screens. We seen Alvin Kamara lined up at the on the outside. We seen some plays where he was doing some choice routes. And also the combination of Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton. They kind of made the Rams defense confused because they didn't know how to approach it. So that's the way you're going to have to win this game. The fact that you were able to use Taysom Hill, it made Andy Dalton more efficient. And also, once again, Chris Olave, getting a deep pass down the field. I was absolutely shocked. Actually seeing a deep pass in 2022, I thought it was an urban legend. Or maybe I had to watch, I don't know, a Bills game or a Chiefs game to actually see a deep pass. But we saw one. And, you got to give credit where credit is due. The offensive line, these guys stepped up today. They were a bunch of backups for the most part, especially on that left side. But those guys stepped up and they opened up holes for Alvin Kamara to run through, as well as Taysom Hill. So congratulations to the New Orleans Saints. This puts them at 4-7. The Atlanta Falcons won today, which makes them 5-7, if I'm not mistaken. They knocked off the Chicago Bears. And you also had the Carolina Panthers. They lost today to Baltimore. And Tampa Bay is on the bye. So right now, you got Atlanta, who is second in the division. But the Saints basically control their own destiny. Like if they want to make it interesting, they got to continue to win. But, we'll see. I do believe this, though. I do believe this. I think the New Orleans Saints may have found something in Caden Ellis. They may have found something, not even really realizing it. The fact that they actually have these linebackers, these guys that can make tackles, and these guys that can get pressure on the quarterback. These guys, that's almost like the TJ Watt size, the Khalil Mack size, like guys like this, that can be able to rush the passer. It makes those big offensive linemen, it gives these guys fits. It gives these guys fits when they got to have to block these guys because they're so fast. So, maybe that's something the Saints maybe need to approach. And I don't think they would have saw that if somebody like Payton Turner didn't go out. The fact that they had to kind of change up the way that they were actually getting pressure on the quarterback, it actually made them, use these linebackers in order for them to rush the passer. So they might be looking at something, maybe, in a Caden Ellis, if Pete Warner was to come back, man, you probably can have this guy like being one of those pass rushers that can get past some of these big offensive linemen in order to get the sack. So maybe that's something the Saints need to explore. You see this with a lot of teams these days. They're using these linebackers as a way of, not only, going up against the tight ends and running backs, but also putting them on the edge in order for them to get pressure on the quarterback. And it worked today. So probably wouldn't have saw that or probably wouldn't have seen it as much tried if Payton Turner would have been in the game. So that's something that I took away from this game. But we'd love to hear from you. This isn't going to be a long show, folks. Once again, if you checked out the prediction show, you already know I got Paxton right here with me. He's a little bit under the weather. He has a fever right now, so I'm not going to hold this show too long. It's going to probably be one of the shortest shows we've done. But I did want to kind of just talk a little bit about the game. It says Saints defense again, no turnovers. Not saying they played bad, but man, are they allergic to turnovers? Look, I don't know, man. I just think it's the way that they play. I think it's the way that they schemes are. This way that they play, it just seems like guys can't get their hands on the football that much. Because I'm just wondering, like, how is it that every guy, that leaves this team, goes to another team and they catching multiple interceptions? Like, it has to be the way that the Saints are schemed. Like, I don't think these guys just automatically just learn how to catch the football on a new team. I think it has a lot to do with scheme. And I just think that the way that the Saints make these guys play defense, it's kind of hard for these guys, to be able to, jump in front of passes, catch picks. So maybe that's something they need to explore in the future. But I just think that it's just the way that this is set up. Because, I mean, you look at Tyrann Mathieu, and I know people talking about him and talking about he ain't really doing too much, but the way that they kind of got him down as almost like a box safety or whatever, more so than him kind of playing in the middle of the field in years past. They had him. They had him playing in years past. He was able to catch these interceptions because he was able to, like see the field, but it seemed like the way that the Saints kind of have him playing is not playing into the strength of what Tyrann Mathieu actually is. And I think that's the issue. That's the issue. So let's see. I like when Ellis was on the edge. Remind me of TJ Watt. That's what I'm saying. Like when you have those guys that are, like the linebackers, that there's more like hybrid players, right? That's why I understand. Like maybe that's the reason why we look at Zach Bond in a different light. When Zach Bond was in Wisconsin, Zach Bond was, trying to get pressure on the quarterback. He had his hand on the ground, and he was able to get pressure on these quarterbacks. So maybe what the Saints were asking him to do, stand up and, playing coverage, that's just not his calling card. And maybe, the Saints haven't utilized him to his strengths. Versus him being something that they want him to be. So I think that's the biggest issue in my honest opinion. I think that you need to go that route, because it seems like that's what a lot of these teams are doing. Like these smaller guys who has that speed and has that, like I think about Leonard Floyd, right? It was one play in the goal line, and Leonard Floyd is not like your typical, like he's not a defensive end. He's a linebacker, right? But you've seen how fast he got into the backfield in order for him to sack Andy Dalton. He brushed right past the left tackle. So I just think that, maybe you need to start working with guys that can, be that linebacker / pass rush type guy. I don't think it's a coincidence that you start to have production, with a guy like a DeMario, with a guy like a Caden Ellis. So I think that that's something that they need to explore in the future. Y'all don't know how good it feels to be a Saints fan based in Los Angeles and have friends and family that are Rams fans and watching them rage. Is who that forever. I can imagine. How does Tampa get a bye after their overseas trip, and we still have 2 more weeks before we get the bye? I'm just saying. Kiwi, that's because Dennis Allen and the Saints organization decided not to do it. They wanted their bye late in the season. So, and they didn't want to have a bye right after overseas trip. So that wasn't the NFL doing that to them. It was more so the Saints that, deciding not to have a bye after they take the overseas trip. See what happens when we get aggressive and frequently put Hill in. Yeah, I mean, the fact is, for the last couple of weeks, the Saints game plan involved Taysom Hill to be, a part of the running game. And when the New Orleans Saints couldn't use the running game anymore, it made Taysom Hill, one-dimensional, and the one dimension was running, and if you're throwing your way back into the game, he's not playing. So I like the fact that they actually kind of mix both of them in, in his matchup, and the way that Taysom Hill has the ability to throw, has the ability to run, and then you come out there with Andy Dalton, it kind of makes you have to respect, it makes you have to respect the defense. It makes you spread out the defense. Well, respect the offense. It makes the Los Angeles Rams defense have to spread out. So it was effective. We have had a lot of drop picks though, and fumbles that we didn't come up with, left a lot on the table. Yeah, that is true. That is true, but I don't know, man. I just wonder to myself, like, how is it that these guys go to other teams and then all of a sudden, they world beaters and they know how to catch picks and they catching multiple picks and leading the league in picks. And I mean, it has to be something to do with the scheme. Just because Dalton played well today does not shine him up in my eyes at all. And see, even a dog's butt gets sunshine every once in a while. Look, I'm not. I'm happy they won as a fan, but I mean, this doesn't absolve them of what we seen, and I still don't think they out the doghouse. I mean, we've seen this before. Like, they go out there, they fall flat on their face, and all of a sudden they put it together, and then everybody kind of mind be at ease, and we excited, and then all of a sudden the next week they get beat to sleep. So let's see some consistency. I need to see some consistency before I start getting excited about what the New Orleans Saints are doing. I need to see this on a consistent basis before I can, be like, oh man, oh my God, man, we back, we doing this. But look, I'm sorry, man. It's a win. I'm happy about it. I'm not gonna poo-poo on the win because you got to get them any way you can. But I mean, this don't absolve them of what we seen, man. I still feel the same way I did before this game started about everybody that I've been mentioning over the past few weeks. And I mean, this win does not it don't absolve them, in my opinion. I know I could get an interception, put me in the game, coach. Dalton won in a story, Saints quarterback. Yeah, I mean, but how many weeks it took you in order for you to come up and say that, man? I mean, seriously. I mean, where you been for the last couple of weeks? I ain't see that energy. Today, Dennis Allen secured his job for at least another 5 years, right, TJ? No, but I will say this. I will say this. I mean, we may not like it, but if this team continues to respond to him, he probably is going to be back next year. I mean, that's not what I want, and I feel like it's a mistake. But as long as this team responds to him, it gives like the ownership and the trust justification for bringing him back, and it's going to make them even more. It's gonna make them believe even more that maybe it was more about injuries than him as a coach, which I definitely don't believe. Honey Badger had a good game today. Yeah, I mean, look, I just think that people just think, okay, man, this dude ain't catching interception all over the place. But I seen this dude making tackles. I seen him bringing, getting guys down on the ground. I mean, it was one play. I want to say it was Cam Akers. He was the last line of defense. He grabbed Cam Akers by the leg. If he didn't, that was a touchdown. So I don't know, man. People just think this, you want to see LSU dude flying all around the field. That's just not what the Saints ask him to do. Y'all want him to do something that the Saints aren't asking him to do. Like, they basically want him to play kind of similar to Malcolm Jenkins. Like, did you see Malcolm Jenkins flying all around the field? No, not really. You seen him make a tackle or two and, be pretty decent in coverage. But that's what they asking him to do. Like, it's hard for a person to really do what y'all asking him to do if he's not playing the way that, or he's not playing the way he normally does defensively. DA still got to go. They're not winning because of him. I mean, defensively today, I gotta say, over the last couple of weeks, it just seemed like the Saints just got bad luck. Like when it comes to like certain players like being available, certain players playing, teams acquiring guys, right before they have to play the Saints, guys coming back off injury right before they play the Saints. You happy that these guys coming off injury, but it's just you like, man, which like we get some of that luck. The fact that Matthew Stafford, and I'm sorry it happened to him. Okay, go get tissue. Sorry about that. Yeah, but the fact that Matthew Stafford ended up going out and getting, he ended up like getting hurt in this game, and then you already had Cooper Kupp who was dealing with an ankle injury. He didn't play. And then you have like the backup quarterback, the third string quarterback, finish out a game, in the second half when you had a lead. Things kind of fell into your hands, but it just seemed like the last couple of weeks the Saints haven't gotten that type of luck, like some maybe the ball bounced their way a little bit. So this is one of those games where it did kind of bounce their way. And I'm not going to completely like just poo-poo on the performance, because I mean, we all thought that Aaron Donald was going to be living in the backfield. He wasn't. And even though, you had, 2 sacks by 2 defensive players for them, it wasn't to a point where it was just, totally, game ruining game. The Saints played pretty disciplined. They played true to themselves. And, they got the job done. But every now and then you wish that, the ball bounces your way at times. You wish that things go your way, and today it did, and it was fortunate, for the New Orleans Saints that actually happened. TJ Honey Badger has our only 2 picks. People think if you aren't making splash plays, you aren't effective. Yeah, because they only pay attention to the plays. Like nobody really, unless you like really into football that you got all 22, you aren't paying attention to what these other guys are doing. You don't know what the play looking like. Basically, whatever Kenny Albert or Jonathan Velma kind of like, expresses or says, like we just kind of pay attention to that. Or if we see like an instant replay and we see a guy running down the field and, he get behind one of our defenders, then all of a sudden, like we on here talking about what happened to this person. Like, but I mean, how many plays happen in the course of a game? How many plays happen? Like, if okay, you might have 60 some odd plays in a game, and a guy may look bad on 3 or 4. Like, like that don't mean that the dude just totally sucks. Now, I will say this: Chris Harris, he's gonna have to burn this tape at the end of the day, because it was multiple plays where he was out of position. That big play by Tutu Atwell, he got posterized on that one, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can look around the field and see, okay, man, he was out of position outside of plays that didn't involve him. I mean, but the way that we look at things, we only pay attention to what the commentary normally tells us. And then, like, we take that information and we come in here and talk about what happened to that boy. You know what I'm saying? We go Clips and Birdman. What happened to that boy? But I think that he played well today. I mean, basically, like, he was tackling well. He was good in coverage. I mean, how many times did Tyler Higbee name get called? Tyler Higbee had a monster game last week, which y'all didn't understand. But how effective was Tyler Higbee in this game? And that was before Matthew Stafford left the game. He still wasn't effective. He still wasn't as effective as he was. So that's just the way that it goes. All right, salute TJ. I totally agree. This win means absolutely nothing, but just a win. Still, Allen Carmichael needs to go after the season. I don't care what our record is. Jarvis, Chris, and Rasheed did their thing. Yeah, it was good to see. And I don't know what Callaway did to like tick off Pete Carmichael, the offensive staff, or what. That man only had one target. That was off a quick slant. Like, I don't know what this man did, but he in somebody's doghouse. There's no way that Marquez Callaway, who was the number 1 receiver for the Saints last year, can barely get on the field and barely get a target. I don't know if the man's showing up to practice later. He leaving a little bit on the field or something at practice, but he's in somebody's doghouse. Still ain't sold on the Saints, and DA show me a win streak and go 7-7, and then we can talk. Yeah, I'm not impressed. I honestly, I listened to a little bit of a press conference, but I ain't trying to see I ain't trying to see no Dennis Allen grandstanding over no win for real. Like show me that you can do this consistently. TJ, you think us playing a struggling Rams team help us look better? Of course, but that's in most cases though. Sometimes you have those bad games. You play those bad teams, and sometimes that's the recipe. Like same thing that happened with Pittsburgh. Right? Pittsburgh, they end up being a pretty bad team. They play against the Saints, who was a pretty bad team. It helped them out. You know what I'm saying? It made them feel better about themselves. So yeah, sometimes that helps. Like that's why I feel like they shouldn't be around this thing beating themselves on the chest. They shouldn't be somewhere, acting like they just absorbed everything or all their problems are solved. Nah, they got to continue to win. They got to continue to play. They got to continue to battle, and they got to continue to do everything they can in order to win these football games. I mean, they played today like a team that was desperate. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way you got to play every single week. You got to throw everything that you can at the wall and hope that it sticks. The combination of Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill worked this week. I mean, that trick play that y'all had on that triple reverse, y'all need to go ahead and kill that. Don't do that no more. Like, why are you trying to run a triple reverse with a makeshift offensive line? Like, why are you trying to do that? Like, you don't want these guys to be blocking no longer than what they have to be. I mean, that play was just god awful. That's the type of play you run like when all your offensive linemen intact. Like maybe you have like one guy on the offensive line that's kind of new. But we'll see. Good game, Saints fans. We will take any win at this point. Yeah. What did Shaheed do today? Well, I mean, he had a good return, even though it was brought back for a block in the back. I think he had like one catch on a third down. You know what I'm saying? He got a couple of yards, and he did a few things. Like he made some smart decisions with the punt. And it's always good. Like I think we take this for granted. When you have a guy that can field punts the way that he can, and you don't have to really too much worry about him fumbling and muffing the punt and all that kind of stuff. That's a good weapon to have. I mean, I don't know if y'all know this, man, but early in the season we had these issues with Hardy and some of these other guys, muffin punts and what I'm saying, and fumbling the football. So, as long as the guy is fielding punts and making some positive plays going forward when necessary, I ain't got no problem with him. And definitely, for the last, I don't know if that was last week or week before last. I mean, he did a terrible job. It was one play where, the ball was bouncing, like the ball was bouncing. He just let it go. And it, what I'm saying? It was a short punt and it ended up, I think it was against Baltimore. And it ended up like, he ended up giving up like 23 more yards. I mean, you got to be smart with the fielding of the punt. So he did a really good job today. So I'm not going to knock him. I think he did well for what they were asking him to do on special teams. Which one win against a garbage team? Now we're back. I hope nobody feel that way because I don't. Ellis is a beast, clearly. I just feel like you can – I just feel like the way that you can utilize him, I don't feel like the Saints are utilizing him the way that they can. Like, I feel like this dude can really, truly, like, be a really good pass rush for the New Orleans Saints. Like, he can be a TJ Watt type guy. I ain't saying he's going to be TJ Watt, but you can actually use him in that capacity and he can make plays. I'm telling you, the wave of the modern day NFL is these smaller guys that are linebackers, as you can also put in pass rush. They make it very, very tough for these big offensive linemen because they're so fast. They can get past those big guys pretty quickly and get to the quarterback. And not to mention, the athleticism of the modern day quarterback. These guys can chase these boys down. That's what you need. I was kind of concerned. Well, I even said this on Twitter. I was like, Matthew Stafford going down may not necessarily be a good thing for the New Orleans Saints, because, the Saints defense, in my opinion, the way that they're defensively structured are structured for, statue quarterbacks. Like if you notice, the Saints struggle against these guys that can run out of the pocket and move around. They do that quite often because the defensive linemen that they have, they're athletic, but they're still big guys versus these other teams who have these linebackers, Devin White, Levante David. Not only can these guys run sideline to sidelines, but they can get pressure on your quarterback too. So if you have a speedy quarterback that can get out the pocket, these guys can chase them down. That's just the way that this is the way the league is going. So I think that this is something that the Saints may need to approach in the future. Like the modern day pass rusher, the guys that are getting most of the success, you're not seeing these guys 280, 290 like that that's getting these sacks. Like you might have like some pass rushers like Trey Hendrickson or something like that every now and then. But for the most part, man, you look at around the NFL, the guys that are getting a majority of the sacks are more of these hybrid type defensive ends / linebacker guys. So I feel like that's what you may need to look at in the future. And maybe some of the guys that are on your team, maybe you need to utilize them in more of a pass rush capacity / linebacker role as well. Chris says, I mean, as soon as Stafford left the game, Saints should have won this game. Well, I mean, it was a little bit of a adjustment, I say, Chris, because you probably had some film on Perkins, but you really don't know what this guy's tendencies are. So when he first came into the game, you seen him kind of running around a little bit, and the Saints, allowed him to get down the field. They were able to, get the stop. Matt Gay comes in, kick a field goal, it's good. But, after that, they started making the adjustments. That's when they started moving around. Mario Davis started moving around Caden Ellis. So, they had to do that. And then on top of that, I mean, that's still a decent defense by the Rams. They're still a decent defense, and I'm pretty sure they were trying to get the ball back into the hands of the offense in order for them to make plays, because they probably felt the same way we talking about when it comes to the Rams. Like, man, this team ain't world beaters or nothing. Even them kicking that field goal. He kicked a 58-yard field goal trying to get the ball back because they felt like, okay, we get the ball back, there's a chance that we can win this game. So if they didn't feel like they were capable of winning, they wouldn't have went through those lengths to do that. TJ, why that man don't never throw the ball away? He be seeing these people coming for him, and he still take the sack. Darwin, I'm gonna be honest with you. That one play that he took a sack, I think that may have been the trick play. That may have been a trick play if I am mistaken. Alvin Kamara was wide open. I don't know. Like, I think maybe Jonathan Vilma said something about it. I seen it when it happened. He was wide open on the left hash, like wide open. I don't know if he would have scored, but he would have got at least 20 yards on that play. He didn't look his way. He doesn't I don't know, man. I mean, it's feast or famine. It's feast or famine for Andy Dalton. It's mostly famine. But he played good today. I think, but once again, it was the way that the Saints were playing their offense. They had to respect the ability that that Taysom Hill had. They had to respect that. By Taysom Hill coming into the game, it caused the Rams to have to spread out their defense. It made them adjust their defense. They went from more like playing man to zone, and that's when you start seeing the Saints, finding those soft spots. Andy Dalton starts finding those soft spots. I mean, I'm gonna give him credit. He did what needs to be done, but man, there were a couple of plays. I'm like, he could have blew the doors off of it. But I think that, like I said, that goes back to it. Andy Dalton, to me, plays so he can be the starter next week. I don't think he's playing like he's playing to win. I mean, I think he wants to win, but he's not playing like, okay, man, I just feel like he's just trying to play, okay, so I can play next week. And that can get, like, they'll probably get you through this season, but it's not going to keep on having you playing in the NFL. I kind of think Sean Payton coming back next year. That's my opinion. For what? For an interview? Interview somebody on the team because he's going to be back on TV. Man, Sean Payton does not want to be here. Sean Payton wanted to leave the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton would have been a head coach of the Miami Dolphins if that whole Brian Flores situation didn't happen. I keep telling people, like, Sean Payton wanted to leave. And the way that we feel about Sean Payton right now, I'm telling you, our emotions are in check based on Brian Flores' decision. Because there would have been a lot of people would have been ticked off and mad at Sean Payton for leaving. And how can he abandon the team at his worst time to go coach somewhere else? I'm just being honest with y'all. So that whole Brian Flores situation basically changed the way that we feel about Sean Payton. But Sean Payton does not want to coach the Saints again. I agree that was dumb, TJ. It was open, though, TJ. Andy held it. Yeah, Kamara was wide open. Oh yeah, man, Kamara was like wide open. Like he was wide open. Like I don't know. I must say, Caden Ellis was balling. Went back to back before you talk about a wild card. Nah, you got to win more than back to back. You got to be consistent. To consistently win, and that goes to show you how low the bar is. That shows you how low the bar is on this team. Like we up here talking about 2 straight wins. So he keeps the defense honest, going deep a lot. Yeah, I mean, but how many people actually believe in that? Man, I was shocked. I was literally shocked when I saw okay, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. All right, let's see. We miss Bradley Roby bad. Chris Harris Jr. stay getting cooked like fried rice. Well, I mean, the man is 30 plus years old. I mean, he's not in his prime anymore. And if he was, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be on the Saints team because he was pretty good when he was in his prime. I'm gonna read a few more and then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Like I said, man, I gotta get back to Paxton. Let's see. My weekend will be made of Dallas losses. Let's see. Sorry, I'm late coming in. Got an afternoon program at church. No, that's all right. Hey, it depends on how things go. I might come back tonight and we probably, talk a little bit more about the game and maybe take some calls. But like I said, I really got to get back to the TJ. How did Juice look to you in his raw running? I mean, he looked better. Seemed like he's starting to get a little bit more healthier. So I was impressed by it. I mean, you have to be like a lot of guys stepped up today. A lot of guys stepped up today. The Saints needed to win, and those guys really answered the call. So I got to give them props on that. Let's see. So do we all agree that the best cornerback in the league wasn't on the field today? If Lattimore played, Allen Robinson would have been seatbelt strap. Well, nah, I'm not gonna say that, man. I mean, look, like Jalen Ramsey's still a good cornerback. Just because a guy gets behind a cornerback that is really good, that don't mean that the dude is just not good anymore. I mean, people have gotten behind Marshawn Lattimore, like that play where Minnesota needed a play. It was 1-on-1, Justin Jefferson versus Marshawn Lattimore, and Justin Jefferson beat him. Like, does that mean that Marshawn Lattimore is a bad corner? No. I mean, it just happens. Like these guys that wide receiver get paid a whole bunch of money to catch these passes. And I don't know. I just think that people, when somebody say that they're the best, when they say that they're the best cornerback in the league, like all of a sudden, like we just feel like no passes should come their way at all. Like even Darrell Reeves got beat on plays, But I mean, I don't feel like that's an indictment on Jalen Ramsey. I don't. It's just like I don't feel like that's an indictment on Marshawn Lattimore. Like cornerbacks are going to get beat, but you know what I'm saying, it's about being in the right spot more times than not. And the dude constantly make plays. So I mean, I ain't gonna knock that man for that. TJ, I'm just waiting to see Winston. They have to let him play before the season is over. Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure we'll see him though. Andy Dalton got his Mojo Power Ranger juice back from Coach Dennis Allen. He gonna do it again, just like Go Power Rangers. Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. No, he ain't. Like, man, calm down now. Calm down, boy. What a difference a win make. Like, man, look, Andy Dalton has been doing this throughout his entire career. Andy Dalton to go out there, throw 3-4 touchdowns, no picks 1 week, and then throw 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions the next week. Like, go back and go look at him. Like I said, I'm hoping you're right, but I mean, you gonna have to put that thing together for me in order for me to be sitting up here just singing your praises. Like, okay, man, like yeah, he doing it, man. Andy Dalton has been doing this for years. Go ask any Bengals fan. Let's see. I've been mad at Sean. He made the team push the cap can down the road over and over for his wins or bust plan, then flew the coop just as it was about to hit the fan. and knew it too. Yeah, I mean, I just think that he probably felt like he got everything he possibly could out the team, and maybe he wanted to leave while his reputation was intact. Which I mean, I'm not mad at him because I always say, man, as long as you leave the organization or the job or we're better than what you found it, I have no problem with that, and he did. But that whole thing about why he wanted to walk away, yeah, little, yeah, he was lying, but it was in his right to want to go coach somewhere else. He didn't have to play the Adrian Brona. I'm getting cooked. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still not sold on Dalton. Y'all crazy. Uh, let's see. Andy needs to help from Taysom to win. They win every fourth game this season. Go Gadget, Red Bomber. Neither one of our quarterbacks are nothing more than journeyman quarterbacks at this point. Clear the quarterback room in the all season and start over. I had forgotten about the Terrell Pryor in Oakland with DA. Yeah, I mean, I think somebody was talking about. I don't know if it was James 1-on-1 was talking about it when he was on the show last week. But like I said, man, look, I just think that we have like this mind frame that if a guy gets beaten coverage and he's supposed to be the best cornerback, all of a sudden like his value goes down. Not to me, and it don't, because I just know if you ever play football or ever, you know what I'm saying, like guys are good, and then there are times when guys gonna get beat. Just like some of the best wide receivers in the game drop passes. Like is that an indication that they stink? No. So I mean, ain't nobody say nothing about when Jalen Ramsey stopped, Adam Troutman on third down. I mean, yeah, he got beat on that play, but I'm just saying everybody does that. It's hard for me to knock a guy who has been like one of the best cornerbacks in the game, or one of the best players at his position for years, and then all of a sudden like he could be on one play, oh he sucks. Nah. The fact Sean Payton of all people decided he squeezed this turnip for all it was worth. This turnip for all it was worth should be very concerning to all of us. Well, not really. Not really. I just think that at this, but like Sean Payton is a competitor. Sean Payton is a guy who believes that he could turn this thing around. If he didn't, then why would he come to New Orleans in the first place? Why would he come to New Orleans in the first place? Like, New Orleans was a train wreck. Like, literally and figuratively. Literally, like, the city was under the sea, looked like a train wreck. And then the organization hasn't like had any success before he got here. But he turned his organization around. So maybe he felt like, okay, man, I turned this organization into a formidable one. We won a bunch of games. You know what I'm saying? We got a Super Bowl championship, and maybe he was looking for a new challenge. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. But I just think that you should keep it a buck. Like, don't start bringing my biggest issue for a person that has dealt with like mental health issues and all that kind of stuff, and know how important it is to take mental health breaks. And I just feel like people are using that kind of stuff as a cop out these days to get pressure off of them. Right? If you wanted to go somewhere else and take on a new challenge, it's well within your rights to do it. But don't alienate the fan base and make us like, oh man, Sean tired, go take your rest. Nah, man, like if you want to leave. TJ, what do you think about Dennis? I think he a terrible head coach. Still, I don't care if they won today or not. Hello to you and Pac-Man. The Saint, thank you, man. What's going on? Sean Payton came to New Orleans because he didn't get the Green Bay job. Yeah, and it turned into a 15-year career, coaching career. So I mean, it's well within his rights to want to go somewhere else. But like I said, man, don't alienate the fan base. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying into anything from the game. The Rams are terrible, and anybody thinking Dalton is doing good, stop. The Rams are worse than us. Yeah, they are pretty bad. They are pretty bad. But that's what happens, man. Like, honestly, that's what happens when you try to go to Vegas, put it all on black. Now, you might walk about that casino with a bunch of money, but then, you know what I'm saying? But there's a chance that you might fall flat on your face and have to call somebody to actually, you know what I'm saying, get a ride back home, and that's what the Rams been doing. You talking about kicking the can down the road. That's what the Rams been doing for years. getting top-notch players, making trades, getting some of the biggest names in NFL, and giving away them draft picks. But now you're seeing it like it's catching up with you now. Like now it's catching up with you. Now those guys that you're getting. I mean, you probably will re-up again, but that kind of stuff right there. That's why when you be like, man, the Saints need to get this person, they need to get this person, they need to get this person. Like, just think about it, man. You start playing this type of game, you're gonna start having down years, just like how the Rams are right now. McVay took DA to school on that drive at the end of the half. Thanks Saints lucky Stafford got injured. I think I don't want to say they lucky. I don't want to say they lucky it got injured. I would just use the word fortunate. Okay, they fortunate. Like, I feel like this game would have been much more interesting if he was still there, if he was still playing. Only thing I loved about the game is Payton Ellis may be the successor to Demario Davis. I think that, to me, I feel like Payton Ellis can be like a really special player if they have him like, that linebacker that can get after the quarterback. I'm just saying, like, the guy has a knack of getting to the quarterback. I'm talking about on the edge, like with his hand, like if his hand down on the ground. I'm talking about that type of, like, that's pretty special right there. Let's not be too hard on Ramsey, who that family. Even a dog gets gets sunshine sometimes. He is still a good defender. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm not. Look, I can't do it, man. I know. Look, I'm happy Chris Olave got that deep pass. Lord knows I am. It's been so long since I've seen a deep pass. But man, look, I'm not. I can't knock Jalen Ramsey. I've seen this dude make too many plays throughout his career, and I don't. As good as you are, there's gonna be times where you're gonna be giving up big plays, and I feel like that's hypocritical right there. Because if I would come on here talking about Marshawn Lattimore giving up big plays, then people have been talking about, man, he's still good. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it with Ramsey. TJ, are you surprised at how well Juwan Johnson is playing at tight end this season? No, I'm not. I'm really not. I think that the biggest issue he had making the transition last year was adjusting to his body size and also the blocking ability. I think the Saints. I think if the Saints want to, and they better keep him. But I think what the Saints found is a guy who can be that Jared Cook type tight end for you, because he has those wide receiver like type ability, because he played wide receiver, and he's learning to become a better tight end. So yes, he like, I'm happy for him. I definitely am, and he's a guy I want to say he's an unrestricted free agent. So the way that he's playing right now, I tell you, man, somebody's gonna want to pay him a decent amount of money to play for the team. So the Saints better find a way to try to keep him. Can we actually be successful with such a zesty coach? Look, I'm out on DA. I'm sorry. I'm pretty like, I don't know what's gonna happen at the end of the season, but I'm sorry, win or not. TJ, enjoy your show. You have a great insight into the Saints. I appreciate your common sense and level-headed approach. Well, I appreciate that, man, and thank you for being here. Say, count your days, Dennis Allen. The clock on your coaching tenure is ticking. Eugene, like I said, when you have games like this and the team is responding when things are at its darkest and tickets are low as $18, and they still going out there trying to play hard and still trying to put forth the effort. I'm telling you, like, that the brass, they look at that type of stuff and they take that stuff into consideration, and it will give them grounds to bring him back. I mean, wouldn't be my favorite decision, but I'm just saying. There's a rumor Sean Payton's new wife hated New Orleans. She wants to live in a city where bamboos can thrive. Let's see. That's why Payton wanted to go to Miami. Bimbos. I guess you mean bimbos. I said bimbos. Bimbos. I guess you mean bimbos. Swagman bag. But yeah. Look, I don't know what it is, and even if that's the case, hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, that's your life, and you were a coach when you met her, so she should understand that. if that's the case, which I feel like that's not the case. Chris Olave can win Rookie of the Year. I agree with that. Let's see. Bag Bimbos can thrive down here too. Let's see. Blessing in disguise. Tennessee quarterback got hurt. Uh, uh, Let me see. Saints may have a chance at getting him. Well, Dylan, I definitely don't want that to be the case. And I don't consider that a blessing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Hendon Hooker wouldn't consider that a blessing. Unfortunate circumstance for Hendon Hooker, but there's a chance that they could get him or they can get somebody else. I must have missed it. What did Sean Payton say? Sean Payton didn't say anything. But I will say this, man, and I'm going to continue to say it. I find it very interesting. I see guys who are on IR. I seen Bradley Roby on the sidelines. I seen Lattimore, who hasn't played in weeks, on the sidelines. Cam Jordan on the sidelines. I think I seen Warren on the sidelines. No Michael Thomas. I find that very interesting. I find it interesting that you like I don't know, like dude, like okay, you're on IR, but they'll at least be on it. I can understand if this was a away game, but why not be on the sideline supporting your guys? Like why, you know what I'm saying? Why not support your guys? Like that's the big, like that's the one big issue that I have with Michael Thomas. Like I understand that injuries happen, but that's the kind of stuff that just makes people just feel like you just above the team. And maybe like some of those thoughts and views, and I'm not saying this, but some of those feelings about you not wanting to be a part of this team, it gives them justification. But then, what I'm saying, if people call you out about it, it's like, okay, it's an issue. That's my biggest issue. Like I don't never see him on the sidelines. I only see him on the sidelines maybe one time, and that was, I guess, when he thought he was coming back. But I'm seeing guys on IR not gonna play for the rest of the season, but they still on the sidelines. And then, like I said, there's no excuse. There is no excuse for you not to be on the sidelines at a home game, unless you just don't want to be there. So it's just as simple as that. So yeah, I just think that between like some of the tweets about him, like him, like basically in favor, like some of the other teams, doctors, and what they've been doing for other players, and his thoughts and his views about, the Saints team doctors. I just think that the dude just not interested in being with the team anymore. But I just think that that's not leadership right there. You know what I'm saying? That's not leadership. That's not what guys who are like well respected would do in the league. Like hurt or not, like there's something that you can probably tell a guy like Olave. Like that's supposed to be like your successor right there. That's supposed to be like a guy you're supposed to mentor. You can be on the sidelines telling them something or seeing something. Like that mean a lot to those guys. But there's a that's the type of stuff when people start saying, giving you different labels, it feels justified. If we make it to the playoffs, can our starters return? Yeah, they can. They can come back. If he had passion and love the Saints, he will always be on the sidelines. Look. If it's an away game, like if they would have played and lost, well, he probably would have been at this game if it was in Los Angeles, because that's where he stays. But I'm just saying, like if it's an away game, I can understand it more. But at home, like you play for the team, like you at least show up to the home game. TJ, I agree with you. DA has to go, or we will have another up and down season next year. If DA comes back next year, I just think that that's the Saints pretty much conceding that they want to try to get Caleb Williams. Like that's what I feel about it, because I just don't feel like you're making the playoffs. I don't feel like you're gonna do anything next season. Like you bringing them back basically to tank. This team announced Sunday that Hooker sustained a torn ACL in his left knee on Saturday night and confirmed the senior quarterback would be departing for the NFL. Well, that's unfortunate, man. That is very unfortunate. Mike T might be a little jealous of Olave, probably not, but who knows what's going on with Mike T. I don't think he's jealous of Chris Olave. I just think that dude is just probably upset about how his career is taking a little bit of a downward spiral. But and you know, maybe looking for somebody to blame. Like, can't blame the medical staff for everything. You know what I'm saying? I do think the medical staff and they be looking out for the team more so than the players. But you know, when you get hurt, it's just unfortunate, man. It's not the team fault. And I just think that if you love your teammates, you got respect for your teammates, you should be around them to be able to be the best teammate you can be. Like, I feel like that's the role of a true leader. That's the role of a true teammate. And lastly, it says that is for sure a blow up after next season if they bring DA back. Yeah, I just feel like that. It's like you can see that things may not go the way that you want them to go. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, it depends on how things going. I'll probably be back a little bit later, maybe take some phone calls, maybe answer some questions. But thank y'all for being, so understanding. I'm about to get back to being here with Paxton. Thank everybody. Shouts out to everybody that was for their well wishes. He all right, as y'all can hear. He's right here next to me. But y'all know how it is, man. 3-year-olds, toddlers, they get sick, man. They get clingy. They want to be around you. They want you to hold them and stuff like that. So definitely got to get back to my dadly duties. But thank y'all so much for being a part of the State of Saints podcast. You can check out the previous episodes available that are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also on Facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you hit the like button, all 236 of you that are watching this live right now. And thank you all. Saints get the win. Excited about that. Oh, yeah, I do have to do this, folks. I do have to do this. I completely forgot. Let me go ahead and read off these box stats. Well, read off these stats for the New Orleans Saints. Andy Dalton, 21 to 25, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. Taysom Hill, 9 carries for 52 yards. Alvin Kamara, 12 carries for 42. You also have David Johnson, who carried the ball. He had a -4 yards. Chris Olave, 5 catches off 6 targets, 102 yards, 1 touchdown. Jawan Johnson, 3 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 4 catches, 47 yards. You had Jarvis Landry, 3 catches, 33 yards and a touchdown. Adam Troutman, 3 catches, 12 yards. You also have David Johnson, 1 catch for 11. Taysom had a catch for 8. Shaheed with a catch for 8. Callaway, 1 catch for 6 yards. Once again, I don't know what's going on with Callaway, but seemed like he in somebody's doghouse. Caden Ellis led the team, 11 total tackles, 6 solo, 1.5 sacks. Carl Granderson had 1.5 sacks. Demario Davis had 8 tackles and a half of a sack. Tyrann Mathieu had 6 tackles, 4 solo, for those that said he didn't do nothing today. Paulson Adebo, 5 tackles, 5 solo. And he also had a tackle for loss and a pass deflection. Lante Taylor with a crucial third down pass deflection. He had 5 tackles and 4. Dave Alumata with 5 tackles. Chris Harris, who had a very tough day. He did have a pass deflection. He had 4 tackles. Marcus May with 3. Shot total with 3. Let me see. Zuniga. My bad. Zuniga. Zuniga had 2 tackles for 2 solos. Kadavius Street with 2 tackles. Sorensen with 1. Let's see. Bond with 1 tackle. Payton Turner with 1 before he went down. Tano Pazio had a half of a sack. That was a tough name to get to. Zuniga. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, now. His name, he's setting you up for the okie doke. But yeah, those are the those are the stats for the team. Definitely the guy that was fluting today for the second week of the row. You got to go with Caden Ellis. 1.5 sacks. He led the team with 11 tackles. And he's been playing pretty well. Pete Warner has been out, and we thought we were really going to be missing his production, which we do. But, he really did step up, did some really good things today, and hopefully he continues to go down that path. So the guy that was fluting today was none other than Mr. Caden Ellis. But thank y'all so much. Really do appreciate that. And he said language. Hey, I'm telling you, like, go look at that guy's name, man. You tell me if you would have probably said the same thing. It's kind of like, There's this well, he plays, I want to say he plays in the XFL now, but he used to play for the Baltimore Ravens. The guy's name is Forgot. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at his name, it's spelled like, well, you know what I'm saying? So that was just one of them situations, but it's Zuniga, you know what I'm saying? So that was his name. So definitely excited about, the win, of course. 27-20, the Saints get the victory on the San Francisco. Hopefully they can kind of, follow this up, maybe get 2 games in a row. Ramsey, I thought the officiating today was really good. Actually been good for the last couple of weeks. I was really impressed. So they let him play today, and I was excited about that. But till next time, all I got to say is, who that?